Our sponsor today is fiction author Chitra Tenore. She published her first book, a children's novel, when she was 11. At 20, she's now promoting the first book in her new science fiction series, The Dead Planet's Requiem. Go check out the sci fi mystery series anywhere you get your books online. Welcome to Season 5 of the Color Success Podcast, where we talk with guests from AAPI and ethnic minority communities and have real discussions about mental health and what success looks like. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie J. Wong. Before we get into it, remember to subscribe to our mailing list for free at colorsuccesspodcast.com so you don't miss any updates. There, you will find our socials, YouTube channel, and all episodes on streaming platforms for great additional content. Corinna Vistan-Takahashi is a Filipino-American film and TV studio executive who currently serves as head of originals for Viu Philippines. Viu is Southeast Asia's largest streaming platform with 8.4 million active monthly users and the region's go-to platform for Asian dramas. Prior to Viu, Corinna worked at Marvel Studios as a creative content producer for theatrical releases, lending her expertise to record-setting blockbusters such as Avengers Endgame and Ant-Man and the Wasp. During her tenure, she crafted creative content strategies and produced content for 19 of the 23 Marvel films, released between 2010 and 2019. She also worked with Apple to pioneer moving graphics on Apple TV. She continues to bridge the cultural gap between Filipino talent and trained U.S. filmmakers, spotlighting phenomenal Filipino talent and increasing visibility and representation of Asian entertainment on a global platform. Hi, Corinna. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Stephanie. No, it's all my pleasure. It's my pleasure to join you today.
Well, we're huge Marvel fans over in this household. I have Chadwick Boseman from an artist, like his portrait, and then Captain America shield, which is more like garbage can material, not the actual one, obviously. So I'm so excited to interview you today.
Oh, thank you. I've got my own stock of Marvel items as well that I've gathered while I was working there, and I just flew back to the Philippines with all of it, like posters and stuff. I don't have the wall space for it or the space for it, but it's all there. I'm a big fan too.
Yeah, you worked on one of the largest franchises in movie franchises in history. How was that experience? What was it like?
Um, you it's really surreal because I joined in 2010, and back then they had just released Iron Man 2. And we were working on Thor and Captain America as they were just about to be released, and they weren't the big studio that it is now, and it was just such a thrill to just be part of that experience as they skyrocketed to like stratospheric levels. I didn't hop on being like, oh my God, this is, I'm joining the MCU. I remember I remember getting a job in 2010, and my dad had asked me like, well, what else can they do? Like, is it all just movie? Is it all just
how are you making money? Is basically the subtext.
He was like, will they run out of characters? And nowadays though, they're just huge. They're so huge, and it was just such a amazing, wonderful experience to be part of that.
I think so many people resonate with the struggles that happen. And I mean, obviously, many of us wish we had superpowers, but I think at the human level, there's always this push and pull of like serving the greater good or like having your personal romantic life. So it's like a lot of people are single that are superheroes. It's funny, but you transitioned over to a streaming platform, which is huge. When I saw the number, I was just like, wow, this is growing, right? And so what has it been like to make that transition?
It's not that different from what it seems to be. I mean, it really is jumping from the Marvel fandom to the Korean drama fandom. The
Woman of my
Korean
heart.
Exactly, right? And we're catering and we're creating content based on the fandom for Korean entertainment and Asian entertainment in general, but really prioritizing Korean entertainment at first. Everything from K-dramas to pop, and I know you're a BTS fan. And it's a huge demographic. There's a lot of people in Southeast Asia. It's such a small corner of the world, but it does really represent a huge part of the world demographic. Like, Indonesia has 300 million people, the Philippines has 100 million population. And so it is it's really interesting to see what people really like over here, which is so fantastic to hear that Asians are supporting over here in this part of the world. Asians are supporting other Asian content. Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand. Everyone is going nuts about Korean entertainment. Japanese and Chinese entertainment, and so it's really nice to see that bond within Asia, that everyone's supporting each other's content. Thai content now is being watched by people in Indonesia and the Philippines, and same. So that's what View is doing right now. It's really kind of like the Asian platform where everybody can watch each other's content, and it's really nice to kind of just watch Thai content and see like, oh, they're not different from us at all. And it's the same thing with Korea. I mean, and it really did start with Korean content.
Yep.
Everybody within Asia just fell in love with Korean content, and View started licensing so much of the entertainment that was coming from Korea, and that really was kind of their bread and butter. And Korea became kind of like this bonding factor within all of these
Yeah.
Asian countries. So what Korea has done is so inspiring. They've really kind of like opened the gates to, the world watching Asian content and Asian entertainment. And it really is so inspiring for other Asian countries to see that Korea did that. And it's like, wow, if they can do it, then hopefully we can do it as well. And hopefully the world can listen to our stories as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I take Korean class and I've taken it for the past 5+ years, and I still talk like an elementary student. Um, but I think that's what sparks interest and gives people motivation of like truly starting to embrace other cultures and seeing what they have to offer. And obviously, huge K content consumer. And I may or may not have cried when BTS said they would be taking a little break. I don't believe it's not the end, guys. It's not the end. But that is so inspiring to see that people are coming together and really showing that representation. So, I don't want to go cliche, but I also want to be, aware, or people aware of what is it like to work in entertainment as a person of color.
Um, I think that the world is really opening up. I think as a woman, as a person of color, I love that people are taking notice and sitting up, and really the through so much of what we've gone through, in this last decade, I feel like people are starting to really be open to to other people's culture, and be accepting. And we've seen a lot of not great things in the last 10 years.
Sure.
But I love that people are trying to go against that and saying, no, we want to be more inclusive. We want to listen and we want to hear other people's stories. And I think that that's so encouraging. It's the same thing with Black Panther. That was released in Feb 2017, and the 2016 elections had just happened. And we
Mhm.
were really noticing, like, oh, I wonder if this movie's going to work. But
I
it did
remember, yeah.
opposite. It was everyone went to support it. And it's the same thing. And I think that that's really through the years has led people to go like, no, we're going to be open. We're going to be open to everybody's story, and we're going to listen to as much people as we can. And it's hard to kind of talk politics with entertainment, but it really is kind of in some ways connected. And I think that with everything that's happened, I feel like there's a lot more people that are really kind of making the effort to listen to Asian stories, and stories all from all over the world. And I think that that's the beautiful thing that we've gotten out of the last 10 years.
Have there been any challenges in your career? It sounds, of course, a resounding there must have been. But one of the parts of the show is really how do we address mental health when we are part of these big projects and trying to make a mark in terms of credibility
Yeah.
for Asian American AAPI folks in the industry?
I think, there's always going to be challenges, and that comes, with with any job, really. So yes, there's definitely been challenges my way, but they've been good challenges, right? I think that, when I was creating this show, they were asking me like, um, you know, are these characters going to resound with people? And with the show that I just produced, it's about the stories of these women. The woman who's successful yet isn't married and doesn't have a child, and society deems her to be, unsuccessful, no, despite everything that she's done. It's about the mom who is a mom, but doesn't have a job, but people say like, oh, but you're just a mom, what else are you doing? Like, it's not
Hardest
enough.
job on the planet.
Exactly. But then yet sometimes stay-at-home moms are kind of deemed to feel like they're not enough. Oh, because
Yeah.
you're not working. So it really does kind of, I like that, the show really kind of, the challenge that we have was to kind of really show a good perspective to this, that it's to try to show not just what's in front of us, but just try to create several layers to these characters to really help, people understand where they're coming from. And we do have scenes where, and I think this is common in all Asian cultures, we have the aunties going like, when are you getting married? It's great you have a career, but when are you getting married? And
And
so,
having a baby and,
yes,
settling
exactly.
down. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think it's really trying to craft a story, and that's the challenge here of not just creating a one-dimensional story, but really creating a multi-dimensional story out of these women, and showing that, trying to show complicated, complex characters, because in the real world we're all complex, right? And we're all complicated. And so, it's never just, a one-sided story. It's never just this one dimension. So that was the challenge that we had when we were creating the show, is to try to kind of create several facets to these characters.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for K Love and it was so adorable. And I think one of the things I took away from it is that, for me anyways, Korean dramas, not only to work on my listening comprehension, but the characters, like you mentioned, are what we really resonate with, and the storylines. And
Yeah.
it showed how sometimes that fantasy aspect of K dramas can really bleed into people's conceptualization of love and, the storybooks, fairy tales, and so forth. So, how do you create this multifaceted character to kind of be able to look at those two aspects, reality versus K drama, and how they intersect?
Yeah, that was another kind of fun challenge that we had. Our writers are huge, huge, Korean drama fans, and like you, they studied Korean so that they could understand, and not have to read the subtitles for when they're watching the Korean dramas. And we didn't want to just kind of make a fan show where we just fangirled over Korean dramas, which we were
Right.
happy to do, by the way. Like, well, we could totally still make that, but we
Hmm.
figured we have the opportunity to mesh the Philippine stories with Korean dramas. And so what we really wanted to do was kind of show, an accurate portrayal of what a modern Filipina and her life is like, and it isn't just kind of like all about love, or fighting for a man, or any of that. Like, we really wanted to kind of show every part of her life, which is the challenges that she faces in a modern world of, being a female CEO, and the
Yep.
challenges she faces, that she sometimes has to kind of work, or work with boys clubs, which is kind of, still kind of, unfortunately, still realistic nowadays. And it's the same thing. It's, we have, another character where she's a Filipino American, and she comes back to the Philippines, and it's trying to integrate herself in the culture, but yet she's classified as different, because she's like, oh, well, you're not really Filipino. And she's like, I am Filipino, but within the society and culture, they're like, yeah, but you're really American. So
Hmm.
it's trying to show the lives of these four different, Filipinas, and how they kind of have to, struggle and succeed through modern day kind of cosmopolitan Metro Manila, which is still a city of 12 million people. And this is where the industry and the hub of the country is. And it's having to try to make your mark, being a female, being a woman
Yes.
in society and culture. So and we found that there were several things that made these characters similar to the Korean dramas that they're watching, but we also wanted to make sure we're infusing it with our own kind of signature Filipino stories, and the identity of this show. We didn't want to copy a Korean drama. We wanted to pay tribute to Korean dramas, but then yet give our own kind of identity to it of we're Filipino. We're paying homage, but this is also the stories that come from this country.
That's amazing. Yeah, my family and I went to Manila and Cebu.
Oh,
So,
nice.
before the pandemic, but it has been really awesome to see different parts of the world, and just seeing more representation is always heartwarming because I have two girls and I just want them to be able to live in a better world where they can be multifaceted. If they do choose to be a stay-at-home mom, I will support them. I couldn't do it because I would lose my S. Like, but I always tell them it's the hardest job on earth because you get no pay, no breaks, no holidays. So our sponsor today is fiction author Chitra Tenore. She published her first book, a children's novel, when she was 11. At 20, she's now promoting the first book in her new science fiction series, The Dead Planet's Requiem. Go check out the sci-fi mystery series anywhere you get your books online.
No, no, and you were saying about your two daughters and everything, and it's the same thing. I have a son, and we moved from our little place in Burbank to the Philippines, which is a huge transition. And
Yeah.
I think the only like, we chose to be closer to family, but also I wanted to kind of give him the perspective of, well, he's American, he's a Filipino Japanese American, and I always wanted to give him the perspective of the whole world. The United States will always be there, and he'll always that'll always be a home for him too, but I wanted to show him the world also, that not everybody lives in beautiful suburbia. Sometimes it just, the world is so different, and I wanted him to kind of understand how it works, that and to kind of have a more global perspective of things, and how
Absolutely.
everybody, yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot more openness when people actually like really understand other people and where they come from, and there's a and just kind of create that inclusion. And I think for my son, I wanted him to know his culture and his roots, and think like this is not a crazy far place that you would never come to. Like this is where your family comes from, and this is how one part of the world lives.
It's humbling. And when I was in Manila, when we were driving to go to the hotel or whatnot, you saw children in the burning hot sun selling water bottles for 10 cents. And I said, hey guys, they were with us. Hey guys, look at this. Like, you have not had to work. You would have to walk up and down, get 10 cents a bottle if you're lucky. It's just humbling to see, because I think we are in this limbo, right? Because we want to give everything we can to our children, and at the same time don't want them to be entitled based on the hard work that we've all put in.
Yes. And that's exactly what I tell my son too, is it teaches him, when he first moved here, he was almost scared of people like who were begging on the street. And I said, no, there's no difference between you or them. It's just the lottery of life. And you have
Circumstance.
to, yeah, exactly. You have to look at it as, okay, you were born in this circumstance. Nobody chooses where they're born, or but I said, but this is an opportunity for you to open your eyes and like help out and give back, and because you were born in this circumstance. And so I felt like, especially living here, and he sees it, it's just an opportunity for him to kind of learn more about the world, that not everybody lives in beautiful, nice suburban houses in Burbank.
Yeah. So, as your career has progressed, one of the big questions I'm asking this season is, what does success look like to you?
Oh, I don't, you know, I think that what success looks like to me is balance. And I think that that's something that I learned when I, moved to the Philippines. It's not all about work, and it's not all about one thing. It's the balance of being able to do and juggle multiple things happily. because I think sometimes if you're overwhelmed, then that's not balance, right? But balance is being able to do something you love, but still spending time with the people that you love, and then happily doing all of that. And if I'm able to balance everything where everyone is happy and I'm able to do everything, that to me is success.
Thank you for that. It's a really great vision to continue to aspire to.
As working moms, you know what that feels like, right?
Yeah, and it's so, so difficult because, you know, I s- I see the importance of everything, and sometimes it is very hard to be able to figure out where should your energy be diverted even in this next hour.
Yeah,
But to be present with your family is just such a gift because I mean the cliche is true. They grow up so fast.
yeah. Yeah. And not just to be physically present, but to like mentally be present there as your kids are growing up, but then also be mentally present when you're doing your work and all. It's just, it's easy to think about your kids when you're at work, and it's easy to think about your work when you're with your kids. So just to be present in both, in all the circumstances, like that's, yeah, I'd love to. And I try to strive for that as well. Sometimes I'm not so successful, but that for me, I'd love to just kind of like have and love and, kind of embrace that balance.
You have so much experience in the industry. If someone were to start out, and I know it's broad, right? The entertainment industry is broad, but what advice would you give someone starting out at this point in time?
Um, I think it would be say yes to every opportunity that's given.
Mm,
It's hard to, it really takes some courage, and I think that I haven't always been brave, but I think that opportunities will present itself, and it's gathering the courage to always just say yes and be open to it. Because I think as you get older too, you go like, oh, well, what about this and what about this, and it was the same thing. I think when we moved to this side of the world and I got the opportunity to tell Asian stories, it just wasn't that easy. I said, well, what about my son's school? Oh
right.
my God, moving to a whole country. But I think that so I guess my point is like the courage never ends. Even as you get older, you have to be able to still kind of analyze things and be able to say, yes, I think that's a good opportunity and I should take it. But I think it starts out when you're young and developing that habit to go like, yes, I'm open to learn, I'm open to opportunity, I'm open to seeing what I can get out of this. I think that when you're young, you're never too good to do anything, right? Start anything, work with as much people, meet as much people. If it means having to deliver coffee or, get people's groceries as a starting out job, you're never too good for that. Like just do it, be open to it. There's always something to learn. Even if you think like, what do I learn from like getting someone's coffee? There is always something to learn.
Absolutely. There's humility in it and understanding ways to work up to maybe your dream job.
Yes.
So, I I applaud you because it seems like you've put in so much effort and work into it, and also being there for your son. In the Philippines, I'm just really curious on your take on how people take care of their mental health or how you or your family do that.
I think that we moved back home because of my family. I wanted my son to be kind of closer to our family and know the Philippine culture a lot more. And I think that it's a lot. I mean, anyone who lives in the Philippines and you have family and friends here. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. You're never alone, right? So whether you like it or not, you're never.
Yeah, right.
So, and I think that's the kind of like the funny thing about it. Even if you want to be alone, everyone's like, "Hi, hi, hi." Well, what are you doing? And so, and it's fine, and it's learning to embrace that. And how that connects to the struggle with mental health is that you are never alone. There are people you could talk to, professionals or your friends or your family. You're never alone with mental health and everything. There's always someone you can talk to, and I really think that in terms of all of that, it really just helps to be able to talk to somebody, to have somebody there and listen to you, whether that's family, whether that's your friends, or that's a professional. That really is comforting to somebody who is looking for help.
And I think it's just so needed. And I was just curious because there are so many different places. Obviously, the podcast is to destigmatize conversations. And I think what you're speaking to is family support is very, very important. And also, if there's conflict within the family, you may need to seek help outside of it.
Yes, yes, 100%, 100%. I think that for the most part, your family is just there to, and even if, as we show in our, as we kind of show it in our show, it's like the aunties and the moms are always there being like, when are you gonna get married? But if you really look through all of that, they just want the best for you.
Mhm.
And sometimes it just comes out as like meddling or asking questions that you don't want to answer, but really, at the heart of it, your family just wants the best for you.
So tell us more about how we can actually get to the streaming site and learn more about kind of what's been going on and support the shows.
So View is available in 16 countries within Asia, the Middle East, and some parts of Africa. It is kind of like the hub for Asian entertainment, whether you like Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, and of course Korean entertainment. It is the hub for Asian entertainment, and that's where you get to watch our show K Love. And I think I'm really proud of the show in a way of like it's a mishmash of cultures. We had Filipino American filmmakers come to the Philippines to help us shoot this, and our executive producers are Filipino American, um, and it's about the Filipino culture, and we pay homage to Korean drama. So it's this mishmash of Filipino American and Korean culture all in one show. And I'm really, really proud of that. That we can kind of show different stories and different perspectives in front and behind the lens.
And the other thing is that you're marrying cultures together, and that is always so beautiful. And the authenticity that goes behind, I can't stress that enough. And I'm preaching to the choir here, but to actually have Filipino filmmakers make the show is sometimes it boggles people's mind here in America, but that really helps with the authenticity of the story.
Yes, yes, and it really is important to hear Filipino voices within globally. And it's really nice. We have people. We have some famous Filipinos now too. 20 years ago, I don't think anybody would really know a famous Filipino. But now we have people like Jokoy who are really kind of
Yeah. I saw him.
representing
I
Filipino.
saw him in Oakland. He's amazing.
Ah, he is amazing. So it's really nice to just see representation nowadays from different cultures.
Yeah, I mean, this we are seeing more media that's including us, right? And we see when you see your face reflected on the screen, you can have these great conversations with your kids. They're coming up at a very good time where things are starting to slowly change, but the only Asian person that I can remember from my childhood is the Yellow Ranger. Aside from anime, right? Like
Yeah.
when you're playing on the yard, like you're Trini because she's the only Asian American heroine. So I think like things have changed so much from that point, and I'm excited to see how your show continues to grow and all your shows. And please feel free to bring the cast over at any time and
Yes.
have a talk. We just recently had the partner track cast on our show, and it's just so nice to see their perspective on portraying certain characters, telling the stories, how they kept the chemistry together. It's just so heartwarming to see.
Yeah, I think no, I think our cast, I really lucked out with our cast too. And I think they're such talented, phenomenal actors, and they really, really were thrilled to work with American filmmakers, Filipino American and American filmmakers. And then they realized that they had more in common than they had differences. And it was
Mhm.
just kind of like the love for creating a show, and really kind of being able to speak that film language with them. And I think that really, at the end of the day, it's so easy to see that we have all globally we have more in common than we have difference. And so I love that in our little show we were really able to kind of cherish that.
It sounds amazing. So everyone could go check out View if you are in one of those 16 countries. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I hope that we can stay in contact because I just you're doing such amazing things and just a great role model to AAPI females everywhere.
Oh, thank you. And you have to let me know the next time you're back in the Philippines. We'll take
Okay, yeah.
we're always welcome to, we're always welcome to a lot of visitors, and they do say Filipinos are very, very hospitable. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you noticed that, but yeah, they're always so nice to tourists, and really open their doors to visitors coming to visit. But yeah, I do think there's a lot to learn, and I love it that you brought your daughters here too. It's kind of eye opening, isn't it?
It is. And, I realize, not to overgeneralize, but you're talking about the hospitality piece, um, that my best friend is just super generous and caring and giving. And again, not overgeneralizing and say like all Filipinos are like that. It's just there is this sense of warmth and welcoming that he possesses. And I was like, when I went to Philippines, I'm like, I totally understand you better. So,
Exactly. And our cinematographer, he works on shows like Star Wars and like, big sets on in the US. And then he came to shoot here in the Philippines. And I think his biggest realization was that even if it's not as equipped as, a big Hollywood movie, shooting in Asia, shooting in the Philippines, they don't have the same amount of technical equipment that he would normally get on a big Hollywood show. But he said that the people were just really amazing, and it just made his working experience so much, like it really warmed his heart. Like he said, people are just so welcoming, and people are so fun. They think his key grip and his grips just break out in song and dance, literally song and dance, like on set when they cut. And so he just thought that they were just kind of so fun and amazing. And again, it just teaches you that, even if you lack something in one department, it just, they make it up for another. So he would just kind of buy them beers at the end of the week, and they all just have fun. And there's this saying that it's more fun in the Philippines. And so that when you come here, it is a little bit more fun. I think the Philippines, we're not exactly the most well-equipped country, but you will come here and it is going to be a lot more fun.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to go back and maybe go
Yes.
to a different part. But
Yeah.
that is an eye-opening experience
Yeah.
whenever we travel.
Oh, good.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And any way that I could support you and the network, please don't hesitate to reach out. I just love everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. That really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Remember to support us for free by subscribing to our mailing list at colorsuccesspodcast.com. There, you will find our socials, YouTube channel, and all episodes on streaming platforms for great additional content. As Rob Heaps from Partner Track said, success is contagious, so come catch it.